83? Or did I just not take the notes for 83?
No, it is.
It is?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like...
Did I already ask you?
83 too.
You're like panicking your face and like, can I milk this?
I was like, oh no, I've done it again. I've asked the question that I just asked.
No, you're right. It is 83.
Speaking of the 80s, do we want to play some D&D?
What? Yeah? Okay.
Take it.
Sure.
What, like third? What's the 80s? Like second edition?
Yeah, I think it's AD&D.
Yeah.
So it's the one most people know outside of 5th edition, I think. Just from recent pop culture things.
What, the 80s or AD&D?
Both.
Oh.
Well, I mean, that was the... Wait, no, because...
That's the Stranger Things one. That's why I'm saying it. Anyway, enough about Stranger Things. We're here to play D&D 5th edition, Rime of the Frost Maiden. Do you guys remember what happened last week?
No.
Dogs.
Big Dog Man.
Met up with Bloodfang in the middle of nowhere.
Indeed.
What a nice person.
He's a lovely chap.
It's almost like he was waiting for you. You were making your way to Angajuk's pier to take a look and see what you can do with this whale, because you're trying to move past the sea of moving ice and into a misty island somewhere out there. On the way, because it will take a couple days, you stopped off as the light was dying, even more than it normally does in Icewind Dale, near a camp. Decided that this lone individual traveller might be trustworthy enough to share the night with, and so you did, telling some stories and sort of trying to get a feel for who he was. And then as you all went to sleep that night, when Svieta rose for her watch, it appeared that he had a few things to say to you.
He did.
Eventually revealing that he was, in fact, the druid Bloodfang. And as he did that, he had his entire pack of wolves, escort him away into the distance. But not before Svieta woke everyone up. So now, everyone's awake, and you can hear the yips and howls of wolves in the distance. It's quite late.
It could be like 12 in the morning or something.
At night? 12 at night? Midnight?
Yeah.
If it is midnight, you look up and you can see the aurora starting to fill the sky of the nightly ritual.
I really don't think Sveta's in any mood to appreciate that.
I think I might have hit him with my laser. And I hike my skirt back down, because I had to climb up on the cart to shoot at him last time, I think.
Yeah.
Well, then why are you still a female?
Well, that's a good point. I don't really need to do that anymore, do I?
No.
It was kind of fun. He unshaped... What is it called? Undisguised selves.
Does that imply that you were sleeping as the... What was her name again?
Oh, yeah. Brenda?
Yeah, Brenda.
What, were you just sitting there admiring yourself?
Admiring.
Hey, you don't know what I did in that time.
No, I don't.
Oh, it only lasts for an hour, so...
You keep recasting because it's free.
I can, yeah.
It's on an item that doesn't have charges.
Yeah, I'm not worried about how often you can cast it, because you can cast it at will, so you just keep it.
Well then, I'm no longer Brenda. Sorry, everyone.
Where am I again? I forgot, sorry.
So you've all... Not that everyone has tents or anything, that you were all... Except for Valine. She had her own tent, and the rest of you were just sort of out on your... I think you built a little bit of shelter in this kind of place, and there was a fire. And there was also another tent that Bloodfang was using too. And Svieta woke all of you up, so you'd be standing basically where you were sleeping.
Okay.
Valine, did you see that? Where are you?
So, if you remember correctly, you had hustled Valine out of her bed, so she's also sort of like half asleep. You know, she's got her her sleeping robe on, and she's like, oh, "What's going on?"
Svieta, what happened? What's all that yipping?
So the traveler that was there was actually Bloodfang. You remember when we were at the mine filled with kobolds? And we were about to go in and we got attacked by wolves.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
The icy wolf.
Yeah. That was their pack leader, and he's, I think, definitely a druid, because he transformed into a wolf. But he is in cahoots with Auriel and wanted to recruit me for some reason.
Wow.
What did you tell him?
Well, I shot at him, so I think that's a hard no. Because I don't want to be a part of her cult. But he did tell me that she had her lair on the moving ice where we're about to go.
He disclosed that information.
Yeah, I think he actually did want us to go there for her, like, willingly.
I see.
Whether or not that's a good idea, I don't know.
So he was saying Auriel herself lives in the Sea of Ice on one of the islands.
Yeah, she's... I think he pointed it out to me. It was like right, like out north onto the ice.
Well, that settles it. That's where we have to go.
Are you
We have
sure?
to end the winter. That's why we're here.
I mean, we could kill her. Kill the dragon. What's a god?
I mean, we're pretty strong.
We'd be walking right into her lair. That doesn't sound like a particularly good course of action.
What if we coaxed her out of the lair?
Like stand at the front and call her names?
Well, no, have her, like, come to us somewhere and pretending to join her and then we stab her.
Oh, not a bad idea, but I think Bloodfang might report back soon, I think.
We could hurl insults at her from the back of a whale as we drive past and see if she chases us.
Where's your whale? Sorry.
What a fascinating development. You said that Bloodfang was after you.
He said so, but I didn't really get a good insight on that.
But he was wanting you to become one of Auriel's followers.
Yes.
You know, your plan may work to have Svieta pretend to want to join Auriel. It's dangerous, but it could work. I feel that the way Auriel is operating in the Dale is, she's expending a lot of power to maintain the constant winter here. Having herself being hidden away like this, it strikes me that you have a unique opportunity here. Perhaps she's not as strong as you might think.
Indeed. But I think the opportunity to pass off as potential followers may have passed us.
Maybe, but do you think that if this Bloodfang individual that you've met before has tested you a number of times, perhaps he's willing to think that you'll come around on his proposition? Did he seem upset when you declined his offer?
No, I think he laughed.
Well, that's good news to me. That to me seems that he might think that you might change your mind later on. I feel like maybe he's trying to work on you, perhaps.
I'm sure we could make the argument that you've come around. We could, put on a show. You could appear by yourself initially, say that you betrayed us or something. Like, it could be done, I'm sure.
Boy, not a bad thing to suggest.
You could all be followers of Auriel, perhaps, as well.
Well, that's a bit of a stretch. I mean, that would take some real convincing.
Maybe.
Not with this laser on my hip, I couldn't.
Yes, that would make it quite difficult, Brenda. But in any case, maybe something to think about. This is interesting. I always thought that Auriel was somewhere out in the sea of moving ice, but I had thought that we would perhaps avoid her with being a god, or we didn't really want to tangle with her. But if followers are being this direct on her behalf, it seems to me that perhaps she's weak if she can be discovered.
Would you help us if we did go that way?
And she sort of stops for a moment and thinks about it. Yes, although, if things look dire, my recommendation would be to flee and fight another day. But if the opportunity arose to get rid of Auriel, yes, I'd be with you.
And would we need your things before we fight her for you to be involved, or?
Well, the things are going to be on the island, so if you decide to fight her there, well, then that's easy enough for me to get my items and leave afterwards. If we decide to flee, my only condition would be that we find those items first. And then we can continue on with the first plan that we came to.
Oh, so you think that she's going to be on the same island as the items?
Well, that's what Bloodfang seemed to imply.
Well, he just said she was out on the moving ice. There's a bunch of different icebergs there, of what I've been told. I don't think there's just one island.
But I don't think it's a coincidence, though, that he mentioned where you were going and where she was. It's conjecture. Maybe we won't meet her at all, and this is all moot point, but perhaps it is worth preparing.
Did Bloodfang actually point at a specific spot on the map, or...?
He did not, but he just seemed to, when you told him where you were going, he seemed to sort of pick up and imply that she would be out there as well. So it might be true that what Horacio said, you may not even be going to the same place. And then Valine's point that it seems too coincidental to not point out is also true.
Well, I don't see why not. If we go out there and she's not there, at least we get the items and then we can go to the glacier. If she's there, we should absolutely kill her.
Agreed.
I think it's best to prepare for both scenarios.
Yeah. I'll get on my good kill spells.
That's a good idea. Although I'm a little bit nervous, I can still hear the wolves in the distance. I guess I'll have to reset some of my alarms. I had not expected our fellow friend to need to trigger them, but I suppose I will have to now. Give me a few, and she ducks back in, and you can see, you just hear a bit of commotion. She comes back out, mostly dressed as normal, and she starts going around the campsite, and you can see she's casting spells every 10 minutes or so.
I guess I'll continue. If we're continuing on into the night for the long rest, I will continue the rest of my hours of the watch and then pass it on to the next person.
Sure. Do you remember who was next? I think it was Carnelian first, then Svieta.
I think I'm usually last.
Yeah, because you like to rise with the sun and get some Pilates.
Get some yoga. Yeah.
And then I think it must have been Horacio, then Wodun.
Okay.
So after about half an hour or so, maybe an hour, the rest of you have gone back to sleep at this point. Valine returns back to her tent. You've just watched her walking around the campsite, just out of the firelight, and she's casting spells. And then she says, all right, Svieta, the rest of the watch is up to you. I'm going to sleep.
All right, then. Sleep tight.
And she makes her way back into her tent. By this time, the aurora that normally fills the sky is in full effect. The green light dances across the plains where you are, and you can hear the distant howls of those wolves, but they seem distant. After about an hour or so, you feel that it's time then to wake Horacio up.
I'll just use my mage hand and pat his face with it to wake him up.
Oh, yes, okay. I'm coming. Hey, Svieta. You got a minute?
Yes.
Svieta, I've been thinking, back in the tent when you healed, you were helping with the healing with, what's his name? Sheen?
Sean.
Sean,
no,
whatever.
Sheen.
Sheen.
Yes.
We were helping Sheen with the healing. I couldn't help but notice that some of the energy that you were emanating seemed to be very closely resembling that of the energy that I put out when I heal. How did you feel when you were healing those people?
I felt very warm inside. Part of me, more so than taking it from nature, was being transferred to them. Felt really good. I was at peace.
That's basically how it feels for me too.
I don't know if you probably wouldn't have seen it, but I did cast a particular spell which you may or may not be familiar with. It's called Guiding Bolt. And I feel that some of that energy is a residual type of damaging type spell. Which felt a bit more spiritual than what I'm used to.
Yes, I did notice a similar energy on when you did cast that spell.
But I do feel much more close and inspired by you, and I think that's influencing my spells that I cast now.
Well, I appreciate the sentiment, but I'm grateful that maybe you found a path, and maybe one that works for you. It's been a long journey for you to try and find something that fits, but maybe Kellenvor is the one.
I feel so. It's definitely not Oriel, I tell you that. I felt very strongly towards picking Kellenvor over her, over any other god, but even then I'm still not sure. But I feel much more confident in that kind of answer now.
Well, another thing I was thinking of, if Oriel is there, and we kill her, our mission is complete.
Will that end the winter, though?
I would imagine so. I would hope so.
Well, if it does, then we can finally leave the 10 towns.
Yeah.
Although, would you want to go back to, where?
Durlusk, yeah. Yes, absolutely.
Good.
I think maybe we spoke about this briefly recently, but I'd love to go back and, I always go, every time I go back, I like to pay respects to Jeffrey. I'll lay a flower on his grave.
Oh.
I've actually heard, well, the most recent information that I received before I came to the 10 town, so it's probably only still about a month ago, is that my family back in Durlusk had actually acquired a new puppy, so I'd love to go and meet her.
We have to. It sounds wonderful. We should absolutely do that.
Yeah. It's a long journey. I feel like it might be one of the final destinations. I'm sure there's other places to go. I was going to say that perhaps Wodun would like to go to Luskan, but maybe he doesn't now, so...
Probably not.
No.
Would it be, if I do follow the path of Kellenvor, would I have to go to Baldur's Gate to do something now? To be a cleric or anything?
If you asked me that question even a week ago, certainly 2 weeks ago, I would have said yes. What's happened to me recently would make me think otherwise.
You don't want to go back?
I don't think I need to. I think I've got what I went for, and now I'm actually forging my own path.
Really?
Well, when you start banishing senior priests, you start forging your own path.
I beg your pardon.
Well, you aren't familiar with what I did back in the House of the Morning Lord?
No.
So I may have had a disagreement with, there's two priests of Kellenvor. And in the heat of the moment, I actually banished the more senior of the two to another plane of existence. And he came back and he looked very cross.
Yeah, I would too, actually.
So I think that bridge is burned. I think it's fair to say I'm no longer a member of the church. But I feel my powers are just as strongly, if not stronger.
It is somewhat amusing to see you so rebellious against your organization, but that sounds like it's going to have consequences for you in the future.
I'm not concerned. I'm willing to face them if and when they come. I predominantly use the church as a tool, and I feel like, as bad as it sounds, I feel like I got what I needed from them. Kellenvor has given me much more than what I expected. And I think I'm forming my own bond with Kellenvor, regardless of the church. I'm sure they have their own motivations, political or what have you, but I think the relationship that I have with Kellenvor, I think, is much more personal.
And it is especially nice to hear that you're actually saying his name.
Oh, yes.
Probably sounds like your bond is a lot stronger than it was a few weeks back.
Yeah, it was a little,
dicey?
I wouldn't say dicey. I think it all got to my head a bit. I think I've got a newfound respect for him and what he's capable of bestowing on people. Not just me.
Well, I, for one, am very glad that he is lending some of his power to me as well. I think I don't want to get too hasty with the assumption.
No, there's no need, but it certainly seems that way. And more importantly, I just hope that you do find something that works for you.
Well, I will have to rest up so I can use more of that tomorrow, but have a good watch, and I hope it is very quiet.
Good night, Svieta.
Night, Horacio.
And Svieta then goes to sleep. The fire you've been keeping all night is still burning, and you just throw a couple more logs on, even though it was the ones that were collected and provided by Bloodfang.
Still good.
Still good. Still good wood.
That's good wood. That's hard wood, mate.
That's some hard wood right there.
That's bloody ironbark, isn't it, mate?
Horatio, you...
Yeah, mate.
Once Svieta goes to sleep, you wait for a bit. And you hear the soft sounds of her falling to sleep. And you are alone once again with your own thoughts here in the Dale. Everyone trusting you to keep watch. Is there anything in particular you want to look for?
My mind will start drifting to what might happen at the end. Is this the end of the mission? Will we see Oriel there? If we do, are we ready? But I won't allow myself to go too far down that train of thought because I want to maintain concentration on what's around me. So I guess I'll just do a quick check if that's all right, just for any signs of movement, or listen out as well.
Roll a perception check.
Okay. 8.
You hear the sounds of those wolves in the distance. It seems that they are never too far away, but never getting closer. Certainly far enough away that, you can't see them and you don't feel like they're imminently there, but just seem to be reminding you that they're around. The light of the aurora plays in the sky for hours and hours. And as it begins to fade away, your watch ends without too much more excitement. And you go to wake up Wodun.
Wodun. Wodun, it's your turn, my friend.
Okay. Right. I'm pretty keen to see this aurora, actually.
It's something to behold.
And so Horatio then goes to sleep as well to try and get a couple more hours before the sun rises, as much as it can here in the Dale. Wodun, when you do wake up, the aurora is still, the last lingering echoes of it are still playing in the sky, but it is starting to die off. In a couple hours, the sun will peak over the horizon, but it will be dulled as it always is through Icewind Dale.
As it starts to get a little bit lighter, I'll get up and start doing my stretching. Put down my mat on the floor in the snow.
Take all your clothes off.
Yep. At least the pants.
That's weirder than you just put the pants on.
Wait, were you wearing a dress? That
was only when I was disguised.
Oh, so you can change your clothes too.
Yeah, sure, that's how it
that's
is,
pretty nifty.
It's a pretty cool hat.
Pretty cool hat.
It's a whole ass outfit.
Yeah. Minus pants.
Now it is. And so you go stretching away. You're really just focusing in on yourself. Roll,
Modesty check.
No, he doesn't need that. You know what? I'm going to get you to roll an intelligence check.
Uh-oh.
Smart.
Or an investigation check. You choose. I think it's the same.
Investigation. Oh, that's actually not bad. 14.
14. It's not too bad. You're there doing your Pilates exercises. You haven't really been paying attention to your actual watch. Like, you haven't been looking around for movement or stuff. You just assume that if anything happens, you'll be able to react in time with your vibrant, well-stretched body.
Nimble.
It's
exquisite.
And it lets your mind wander about the events of that evening. The traveller that you had with you. And, coming to that place and feeling like, when in retrospect, it was obvious that this person was waiting for you. Obvious, but only in retrospect. And as the light starts to crest and the morning starts to come into play, you finish your Pilates session and something occurs to you that you didn't think about before. Yelsum had a tent. That tent is still here. He didn't leave with it.
As he's finishing up stretching, he's going to be kind of like doing, more sort of Tai Chi movements, trying to focus his magic and channel energy and that sort of thing. And he's feeling a little bit of anger, it's kind of peaked in him that Oriel is right there, and he is pretty keen to get out there and finish his quest and end the winter and save the people. And with all this that's gone on, he's sort of building up a bit of resentment towards her. And so as he's kind of just thinking about that, he'll kind of have that realization that you mentioned. and sort of snap his head around and look towards the tent. And he'll make his way over and sort of carefully push the tent door open, tent flaps.
So you approach the tent and peer inside. What you notice, first of all, is that the inside of the tent is fairly Spartan. There doesn't appear to be any personal effects lying around or anything like that. You don't see a sleeping mat or anything like that on the ground, or you don't see a backpack or anything similar to that. In fact, the more you look around, the more you see maybe shreds of things, discarded things. Roll a insight check.
19.
You begin looking around. So there's one thing that does catch your attention right away, but apart from that, I'll get to it in a second. Apart from that, you're looking around and you see all these sort of scraps of material, maybe? You think you might see a half-broken tool in the corner, and it dawns on you as you then look up and look at the tent canvas itself. It seems to be in pretty poor condition. And putting two and two together in your head, you begin to realize you don't think anyone's used this tent in a very long time. This probably wasn't his tent. It's possible that it's an abandoned campsite. But the thing that does strike you as very odd is right in the middle of the tent, there is sort of a mound of snow that's built up.
Is there, does it look like it's from a hole in the tent? Or it's just is it weird that it's there?
It's weird that it's there. I mean, there's certainly small holes in there that are hard to see from the outside, that where the snow has been let in over time. And there's sort of a blanket of snow all over the place. But you can see it seems to have been scooped up and covered, whatever it is that's there.
Wodun will sort of shunt a little short sword into existence as his packed weapon and kind of poke the snow to the side to try and, gently, but just to move it and see what's under there.
You start doing that, and you start spreading the snow away, and it starts falling off whatever this object is, and every so often the blade sort of seems to hit something solid and stop. And eventually you sort of move enough snow across from the top of it that you can peer down, and it looks like a massive chunk of ice. And there seems to be something suspended in the ice.
I'll sort of, without touching it, sort of shovel it towards me a little bit and get a closer look.
You shift it towards you and more of the snow falls away. And eventually what you sort of find is a oval of ice, maybe about a foot and a half long, maybe a bit more, maybe 2 feet long. And as the snow falls away and you brush it aside, you can see the ice is actually very, very clear. It's the snow that's obscuring most of it. And it seems that there is some things suspended in the ice, but in the darkness here in the tent you can't tell what it is.
I'll kick the ice just out the door of the tent, and with the hilt of the sword, the bottom, I'll just smack it on top and try and crack the ice.
Okay, so you kick it out of the tent, and following outside, you then see it in the full light and try and bring the hilt of your sword down on it, and it sort of just bounces off. You try and strike it a couple of times, and it doesn't seem to be making any indent. But now in the light, you can see that it is a very, very clear piece of ice, no imperfections whatsoever. And suspended in that ice looks like ash?
The shit is this weirdness? Hey, hello, guys, wake up. I found a weird ice ash thing.
What?
A weird what?
I don't know, it's weird. Some sort of witchcraft.
What do you mean?
It's like ash suspended in this really clear ice.
I'm coming over.
Please.
Like a little explosion of ash?
It looks like someone collected a bunch of ash and mostly packed together, some of it towards the edges of it, in a bowl, and then just froze it over. but it was frozen so well, like there was no, like, you know how when you freeze ice, there's that sort of white, but like when it's imperfect, it's like someone got like distilled or boiled water and froze it perfectly so that it was clear, completely clear.
Can I just see if it's... Can I sense if it's got any magic energy emanating from it?
Sure, but you probably would need to detect magic, I'd say.
Yeah, I will cast that.
We got 10 minutes.
Yeah, if you're happy
Yeah, of course.
to do that. Okay.
Okay, so you get to casting detect magic.
Yep.
I do.
Okay, so Carnelian casts detect magic.
Well,
I've taken something else.
Well, now that you said it,
I can't. Seems like I can't do it. You do it.
can you not actually cast detect magic?
I haven't taken it.
I think he can.
Okay.
I just think he doesn't have it on his prepared spells.
Yes. Oh, I'm not feeling it today. Sorry.
I didn't press that. Didn't press that button on the Callan menu.
Yeah, it says unprepared for some reason.
Okay, so that means that Carnelian casts detect magic instead.
It does.
After 10 minutes or so, the magic, and by this point as well, Verlene has exited from her tent. She looks like she's been well rested enough, but she seems a little bit like she'd prefer to be in a nice comfortable bed inside, but she's slumming in a tent. And she notices what you're doing, and she comes over, and she can see you're casting detect magic, so she waits. And as soon as your detect magic goes off, you get the feeling of multiple different schools of magic emanating from this thing. You can see there's some conjuration magic. You can see that there is some necromancy. And you can see there is some transmutation.
Oh, interesting.
What is it?
Well, I don't know yet, but there is multiple different kinds of magic at work here on this thing.
It's fascinating.
Right, gotcha. I pull out my crowbar and start whacking with that instead.
No.
Well, one of the other pieces... Okay, so if you manage to clip one of the clip it with the crowbar, it bounces off again and you get a flash of abjuration magic as well.
Oh. Apparently it's protected. Where did you find this?
Oh, I just had it from Luskin. It's my trusty old crowbar. Oh, you mean this thing? It was in the tent over there. It must have either belonged to Bloodfang or whoever used to own this tent.
With the detect magic still up, if I go investigate the tent.
The tent doesn't appear to have any sort of other special magic to it. The only thing you feel emanating, apart from conceivably Valene's tent, because you're not even sure what she's got in there, but is just this item.
Interesting.
Quick question, Callan.
Yes.
We're aware that we're still more than a day away from the
Yes, that's correct.
Anjuguk's pier.
You got a couple days of travel ahead of you still.
I'm just, if you'd allow, I'm just going to quickly reshuffle one thing because he would know that. I just wanted to take Identify. That's all. I think.
Should we nick this tent?
Nick.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, but an old tent's better than no tent.
Yeah.
I'll shiver.
Prestidigitate the smell of oldness off of it.
Maybe.
Does it smell bad, or is it just like musty?
Must.
How's the stag?
Doesn't smell bad because it's been like in ice and snow. But if you do want to take it, you have to clear some of the bottom out of it as well as the snow's rested in. You might want to... Does anyone have mending?
I do.
You may want to mend some of the holes that have formed into it as well.
Yeah.
No.
Why not?
I shan't do that.
They're air holes for breathing.
Makes the tent go faster.
I'll spend a couple minutes mending it.
Okay, so you can fix it up the tent, but one thing that does disturb you is when you shift all of the snow out of the bottom of the tent and sort of clear it out, you do find bones.
Oh.
Looks to be the remains of someone.
Could I quickly try to identify what part of the body they might come from and if they're human?
Well, do a medicine check.
You got it.
Can I assist?
Sure thing.
Hey, Svieta, have a look at this. Not good enough, Svieta, sorry.
How good was it?
I just rolled like shit, I don't know what to say.
What did you get roll?
15 total.
Oh, 15 is pretty
good.
That's above average.
For
Okay.
a doctor, no.
For a surgeon, that is decidedly below average.
Yes, but fortunately, the skeleton is once you piece it all together, being an expert surgeon as well, you find that it is most of a skeleton. Like it's almost complete, and you can tell from looking at it. Looks like it might have been. Certainly a humanoid of one of the taller race, either a sort of a shortish human or maybe an elf.
I see. I'll just relay that to the group.
I mean, they must have been here for a while if it's just bone left.
Yeah, unless the ashes belong to this poor chap.
But wouldn't... Well, what part of him? Because all of his skeletons here. Unless they flayed him alive and left the bones out here.
Yeah, good question. Is there a bone missing?
Yeah, so there are a couple of small bones missing, but it's a great observation by Svieta, so putting your heads together, the amount of ash that's in there wouldn't be sort of consistent with if you had the same amount of matter missing in bone, and the heat you would have had to have gotten to turn that into ash. Like, there's not enough bone missing to make that.
Reduce that amount of ash.
Yeah.
Okay.
I could dispel the magic.
Well, is there any way we could identify it before doing so?
You know what? It's funny you should say that. I can't. So I'm sorry.
Right. It's because it's not a cleric spell. It's specific domains get access to it.
Yeah, it's all new. You know how it is. I'm a surgeon.
It is a wizard spell, though.
I think I can actually get it, but I didn't. And I can't change my spells.
Wizard.
The nicest thing about it being a wizard spell is the wizard only ever has to just put it in their book. They never have to prepare it.
Exactly.
Show us your book.
You know what? You're quite a clever little kobold. Perhaps you wouldn't mind some employment in the future. I'm sure the Brotherhood could use someone clever like you.
Oh.
And so she whips open a book and walks over to the ice, and she starts casting her spell, pulling out little different bits and pieces. And she also eventually pulls out from her pocket a little pearl that starts to ring with light. Eventually she closes the book and touches the oval football-shaped object. Oh, yes. There is multiple magics at work here. I feel that this is used in preservation. I think, yes, ashes is certainly somebody's body. There's the remains of a person trapped in the ice, preserved. Similar to, are you familiar with gentle repose?
I am.
I'm not.
Yeah.
Gentle repose allows you to keep a body in the state that it was when you cast the spell. This is almost like a permanent repose. Whoever this is inside has been kept, well, not alive, but still recently dead. And I think this entire object is to preserve whatever it is that's inside of here.
Like in the hopes that a necromancer would just come along and resurrect them.
Perhaps. That would be if you wish to make an undead minion out of it, I guess. But probably better for a priest or cleric to cast a resurrection spell, revivify, reincarnate even. Druids can cast reincarnate. Perhaps that is... You said this was Yelsam's tent. It may be that it is this person from somewhere long ago, but perhaps this is an item that he bought here and left behind on purpose. If that is the case, and he is a druid, as you say, he may have access to the reincarnate spell. But then why did he leave it here with you?
Maybe it's a trap. Maybe he thought we'd find it and resurrect this person.
Maybe he lacked the material components.
Perhaps.
I can certainly try it, but it's a very expensive spell.
Yes. And it feels like we don't have all the information. It could be quite dangerous to resurrect this individual, particularly if Bloodfang himself was carrying it around. I would be wary. It could be a trap. You are right. But it is so intriguing.
Do we know Bloodfang was carrying it around? Was this his tent, or was this just a convenient place where someone had set up a tent, previously, and then perished.
Well, you said it was quite buried, didn't you, Wodun?
Yeah, buried in the snow.
Was it just buried naturally, or did it look like someone had buried it?
It was a shoddy job.
And someone has buried it.
Yeah.
That would imply that whoever abandoned it, it wasn't theirs. It had been recently covered.
Possibly, yeah.
I think it's a fair assumption this could be one of Yelson's belongings. But I don't think he would have left it on purpose. Sorry, dear, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I was just thinking, we have a skeleton in there. Horatio, can't the clerics speak with dead? Can't you just ask the skeleton?
You know what? I can.
I'm very glad that you know.
It's funny that you ask.
I
I
was
cannot.
thinking of some moving pictures that I saw recently.
What is this moving pictures you talk about?
It was a flicker book.
A flicker book.
Let's just hope our GM isn't as mean as that movie's GM.
Can you actually? I was joking.
Yes.
I thought
I'm pretty sure it's a domain spell for grave clerics.
dude,
Yeah, I can.
So he doesn't even have a prepare. It's just always there.
It's just there.
it's just hanging out.
I think.
I just thought it was a very particular spell you had to pick up.
It is one that you usually have to choose, but being a grave cleric, yeah, it's probably a domain spell that you just has.
Horatio just acts like a life domain cleric.
I have access to it, but it's not always prepared.
Oh, okay, so it's not a
However,
domain spell.
allow me to just quickly whoop, and then maybe whoop.
Suspecting in the morning, like, oh yes, I might speak with the dead today.
Yeah, feeling it.
I mean, technically you haven't prepared your spells yet, so while you could take your time preparing your spells now,
Yeah,
you can just speak with dead, I think it is on there.
yeah, it is. And if you've allowed it, then yes, I have done
I
that.
will allow it because you haven't specifically prepared your spells for the day.
All right. Does anyone have any incense?
Funny that you ask. I don't.
No.
Well, you had your
You got your alms box.
what's the
Yeah.
thing called?
The sensor?
Yes.
Oh
sensor.
yeah, of
Oh,
course.
Would be quite surprised if you didn't have some incense, considering you've had plenty of time to pick up items that you require for spells.
Oh, don't talk to me like that, Valine.
Any good spellcaster,
I change my spells every day.
any good spellcaster would know all the material requirements they would need.
Yes, spoken like a true wizard.
Indeed,
Well,
I am a wizard.
I do have my sensor here. So if we're happy, I will attempt to communicate with the skeleton.
Sven just sits in the sand, like snow, and just is so excited.
Yeah, so is Wodun, actually. He's never seen this before.
No, Wodun,
Oh,
watch.
Is he gonna talk to her? Is it gonna, like, get skin again? Is that how it works?
I don't know, but I'm quite excited as well.
How does it work?
Show us.
It's funny you should ask. And I just don't say anything.
Just stares at a skull, and at the end he just goes, I knew him, Horatio. I knew him.
All right. Well, I'll take out the sensor and I'll just walk around the skeleton a few times and do a couple of over him, that kind of deal. And then I will cast. Well, I'll actually appeal to Callan to, grace this poor soul with a few final words to answer our questions. And cast talk with dead. Speak with dead.
Have a chit chat.
The spell goes off after your ritual, appealing to Kalemvor, and as you finish the spell, a grey shaft of light seems to temporarily pierce through Icewind Dale's perpetual dawn and strikes the body of the skeleton that you've laid out. And you just see the bones start to move and jiggle as like little bits of them sort of reconnect to where they were. And eventually the half of the skeleton that is all connected, it sort of only does the top half. It just sort of like lurches up and goes... and its jaw snaps into place.
Wodun grabs Sveta's arm. He's terrified now.
No, touch my tail, it's fine.
So cold. It's so cold.
Well, I do apologise for the inconvenience, but this will be very brief.
Doesn't know that it's cold.
Yeah, he's got no skin.
Don't, you'll answer it.
So, shut up.
It's cold outside. So cold. I can't see. Where? It's so dark.
Well,
Cold.
We've got 10 minutes to ask it 5 questions, folks.
4 questions.
No.
Don't you get smart with me, Skelly?
Why are you out of breath? You have no lungs.
It's because the spell, it compels me
Get any more
to
out
act
of
like I would in life.
Okay.
3 questions.
No, that was not.
This is going great.
Cold.
Can we ask where he's from?
I can see my breath.
Is he speaking common? Can we all understand him?
Yeah, he is speaking in common. But every so often, you can hear like slips of another language in there. Like someone who's not a native common speaker, like some of their own tongue. Has anyone got... Well, what languages does everyone have?
Elvish and Druidic.
Okay.
Celestial common.
Common, Draconic, Dwarvish.
Yep.
And I'm the same. A combination of what's been said.
Svieta, you recognize the Elvish... every so often there's Elvish words mixed in there. But they're all on the same variation of being cold and frightened. And darkness.
Okay.
I have a question. Where is Uriel's lair located?
Uriel. I was looking for Uriel, but so cold, so damn cold. If we can find her, she lights the sky every night. It's damn cold. It's still cold, and it's somewhere in the sea of moving ice, an island. It's her home. She flies from the sea every night. She feels the sky. Oh, it's the beautiful green light. Cold, so cold.
Is it worth asking who he is, do you think?
Ask
I
what
don't know.
the thing we found is. Wait, no, we already know what that is. Ask him if he knows why it was here. Like who the remains are.
And why it was preserved?
Okay, that's 3 questions.
Well, did we
Goodbye.
work out? Did we work out that it was definitely this from the medicine check? Did we work out that it definitely was this guy that was the Ash?
Not enough.
You
time.
didn't think so.
Oh, okay. All right.
Just to clarify before we move on, did the Skeletons say that Uriel flew back home every night?
Flew out every night.
Flew out from her
From her
home
home.
in the Sea of Ice.
Yeah.
I see.
I guess a good question that could encompass it all is like, who was he in life, which would give us his name and perhaps a position, like if he was an old town speaker or something like that, or
Yeah.
like a person of prominence.
Yeah, good one. Okay. Who were you in life?
Cold. So cold.
Oh, Jesus.
Cold.
I mean,
Me.
Callan.
Furren. My name, Furren. Hey, from Waterdeep, the university. I'd heard about... cold. Heard about Icewind Dale's plight. They had covered the land in winter. The winter had not gone. So I came to find out why. Why? It's cold here. Why is it so cold? Why? But the spell, every night, the aurora, it's Uriel. She's every night casting spell. I came because I was going to study it. I study magic. God, why is it so cold? Why is it so cold? I came from Waterdeep to see why. I found that every night that she would cast the spell, she would expend great quantities of divine power to keep the Dale cold. It's so cold. Why have you brought me here? It's so cold. It's so cold.
You better ask him these other questions pretty quick, or he's just going to collapse anyway. Who needs 10 minutes?
He sounds like someone of like quite knowledgeable. Perhaps he knew Copper Nogba. You know that little science experiment. Maybe he was coming up to help them with that.
From
He did
Waterdeep?
say something like three's a crowd, or
They were expecting a third person,
What is
but
it?
that's a long shot.
Maybe I could ask him what his involvement is with Copper Nobanoka.
No,
It could be a waste of a question.
that seems too specific a question.
We're assuming that he does know him, because that could lead on to a lot of other stuff if that But if he doesn't know him, then yeah, it's a waste.
What if we show him that orb that you still have for some fucking reason?
The Summer Star.
Yeah,
Big Bang Theory orb.
Why wouldn't I still have it?
It's scary.
Anyway,
I mean, it didn't kill me.
so do we want to show it to him or not? Do you think we should?
I don't see why not.
Or ask him what his involvement is with the Summer Star?
We show him both. Like, show him and then ask the question.
Okay. We've got, I'm going to say, Callan, do we have 2 questions left?
I'm not going to tell you.
But you've answered probably just about 5 now. I'm just not sure if any of them are jokes or not. Are you still up? He's still up.
This is the annoying part. Is like how many times were you joking when you said that?
How many times was I joking?
No, that's not fair. That's not how the spell's supposed to work.
Just keep asking your questions.
I reckon 2. I'm going to guess 2. So I reckon. We could ask about the star. We could also ask if he'd learned any way to end the winter.
Oh, true,
or
yeah.
kill Auriel.
If he came here, he must have, like...
He was looking into
a
it.
way to do something.
Yeah.
He was looking into the winter, so that is a...
Well, maybe I'll start there. Maybe he might just mention the star as part of his plan.
Cold.
Yes.
Cold.
Yeah, it's cold. You're not wrong. Firen,
Dark and cold.
Are you... How do we end the perpetual winter?
Winter. The winter. The aurora brings the winter. Every night the aurora keeps the winter. Cold. So dark but beautiful. The light. And it's so beautiful. But the winter can be ended by magic of similar power acting counter to Auriel's. She spends so much power keeping the winter going. She doesn't get enough chance to recharge. The other gods are pressing in on her, pressing into the Dale, but she keeps them out. She keeps them out with the aurora. Powerful weather-changing magic could stop it, but then can't stop Auriel. It would be temporary. If you stopped Auriel from casting the spell, each night it would lose its potency until she could cast it again. Killing Auriel, kill a god. Gods can't really die, but they can be stopped for a while, for a long while until they come back. Yes, but you can't kill gods that easily. No, they don't stay dead. They don't stay dead until people stop believing in them, until they stop believing that she's there. Gods, kill magic, strong magic, counter to what she can cast, or stop her from casting. If she can't cause the aurora, they can't keep the winter. The other gods will start pushing back and to make her defend herself for a long time if she can't cast. Cold. It's so cold and so beautiful. Blues and greens. Cold.
That answers the question. We should kill her first and then grab the anti-winter device and then deactivate the winter from...
I mean, the other way seems just as workable, because if we can counter the effect that she has every night, then the winter will go away.
Well, it'll lessen her means to keep the other gods away.
And
maybe we don't have to kill her.
And if nobody believes in her, then she weakens.
Yeah.
A Mythalar would be a powerful enough item that could counter such a spell. This is what we have also been looking for in Nethril. Although it's interesting what he said, it doesn't mean you can kill her, or at least kill her temporarily. But if you could also stop her from casting this nightly spell, that would also be enough, which is quite curious.
So maybe I misinterpreted. So we don't have to take this device to Auriel to stop her? We can just do it like via Wi-Fi or something?
I don't think so, yes.
Okay.
Perhaps you would want to cast it around the same time that she's trying to cast her spell, but when that happens every night at midnight, the aurora fills the sky. I didn't even realize that till now. That is Auriel. She's casting her spell every night.
So just turn it on at midnight when she's...
good enough good as any idea, really.
Okay, yeah, let's...
Yeah, but we just have to assume the coverage is sufficient. I mean, Aurora's, I'm getting into nitty-gritty here, but it's more of a visual thing, isn't it?
I think
really a
The visual phenomenon of the aurora is a byproduct of the spell. She's casting it nightly to keep her domain to herself and expending all that divine energy, and then she retreats to her home.
Okay.
Let's not get into electromagnetic waves.
Yes. Well,
But it's interesting, there seems to be a couple different ways to deal with her.
is he still up?
He does appear to be still very cold.
He's got one more.
Do we want to ask who the preserved ashes are then? Like,
I can ask that, but do we want to... Is there some kind of outcome we want from asking that question?
determine whether or not it's worth to resurrect them?
We could ask, I guess, what it is, and if he doesn't know, it wasn't his.
We kind of already know what it is. I feel like asking who it is gets the same thing. Either he doesn't know and then it wasn't his, but if he does know, then maybe...
I could ask him something about the location of the devices, and if he's familiar with the layout, and if there's anything he can tell us about the location.
Oh, sorry, what's the wizard's name?
Valine.
Valine. Well, Valine already knows mostly that, doesn't she?
Are you familiar with the place?
Yes, I've
Okay.
divined it. They're
Okay.
definitely on the island that we seek.
I see.
We now suspect that maybe that's where Aurel's home is. It's not 100% certain, but sounds like a good theory.
He may know something that your divination was unable to glean.
Entirely possible. I wasn't looking for Aurel herself. I was looking for the items. He seems to be much studied in something to do with the magic affecting the 10 towns. Honestly, it's not my area of expertise.
No, I don't think he knows where she exactly is. So I'm not going to ask that question. Well, I might ask the question about the ice unless anyone else has anything else they want to think about it.
No, go for it.
Okay. Firen,
Yes.
who...
Collapses.
Son of a bitch.
Whose remains are these encased in the ice?
Ice. Cold ice. And his head sort of creaks up and looks at you with the eyeless holes in the skull, and they look towards you as if they can see. Dark, but I see what I don't understand. What is that? What have you got? I don't understand. I don't know. What is that? It is some magic. I don't know. I don't understand. What is that? Cold, so cold and dark.
Callan will be with you, Firen.
And also with you.
He's still... Oh, this is awkward. Looks like we got another one.
Oh, ask what he did at Waterdeep. What was his occupation? Maybe he was an artificer or something.
Okay.
Is that how you say it?
Apparently, according to British people, it is.
I disagree.
Artificers, bitches.
Ian, right? Hang on, wasn't there some other location to the far northeast of
In
here?
the glacier.
Glacier, yeah.
That's after we got the things from the island. That's where Valine wanted us to go next.
To Buried City, I think.
Yeah, it was like an ancient flying city that had fallen into the glacier.
Right. Valine, were you able to locate exactly where that flying city had fallen within the glacier?
Oh yes, at least enough to be able to go to the place we could open up.
That's
I know
right.
where it is. Yes,
Okay.
the rugged glacier.
Yes.
I mean, you could ask the question if you wish. He may have more information, but, that would also imply that he was here looking for that in the first place, and by the sounds of it, he was more here for a real.
If we have another question, should we ask him about Copper?
Yeah, maybe. And the sun.
The other guy?
Maybe
Macredus.
ask if he knew a way to, counter Aurel's spell. Because then, if he was working with Copper, he might bring up the Summer Star. But if he wasn't, and he knew about the thing in the Rugged Glacier, then he might say that.
Okay. You're right. Firen,
Cold, so cold, and so beautiful.
can you tell us a means to counteract the Aurora spell?
Cold. His powerful magics counter magics in direct opposition can do it, can stop. If you don't stop Aurel herself, if you don't kill Aurel, counter magics, a mythalar or weather control device, something along those lines can counter something. Counter. Can you make a Mythala? Don't know. They had Mythalas in ancient times. It's an ancient city buried in ice. It's lost long ago. Cold, so cold. And the bones start, like, as he's going this sort of undulating movement, the bones start to stiffen up and fall off his body, and eventually the head rolls backwards and the whole skeleton falls back into the snow.
Wodun walks over and puts his hand on the skeleton's hand and says, "We used to play Waterdeep in football. One last time, brother. 1, 2, 3. Go Griffins! Rest in peace."
What?
That random corpse had a lot of information. It was bursting at the seams with information.
He wasn't wrong, it was quite cold.
What
Still
a
is.
great spell.
Yeah.
Yeah, you like that.
I did.
Oh well, maybe we'll find some more corpses.
We should make more!
No. We should avoid making them unless it's absolutely necessary.
Okay, let's find more.
Okay.
I like that wording better.
Yeah, I like that wording better as well.
We'll find some corpses.
I'm so excited.
I'm surprised that you're taken to speak with dead. Necromancy is not really one that Kalembor's followers like to utilize.
Well, Kalemvor deals in life and death. He's the judge after all, so it makes sense that perhaps I have some spells that lean towards the dead.
True, but necromancy itself seems to be a bit of a problem.
You'll find that that's not necromancy, my dear wizard. I'm merely animating the corpse. There's no soul. And if you'd like me to reread the spell description, I'm happy to explain that pointing. There is no revivification or anything, any aspect of the previous being. It's purely bones.
I think if you read a damn book, you wizard, you'll find that Kalimdor is the Lord of the Dead.
You just sort of like see Valine just open a book, thumbs a few pages. Speak with dead, 3rd level necromancy. Yes, you're totally right.
Not for clerics, it's different.
Classes, cleric, bard. Yes, I think we've had quite enough excitement with the corpse for today. Shall we get moving?
Yeah, where did I put my pants?
That is an excellent question. Locate pants.
Would you
I
like
have
me
that
to
spell.
cast? Yeah, I also do.
Why do you all have pants ready as a spell?
I cast locate object on your pants.
Have you met Wodun?
Clothes beam! That is easily my most metro attack. Sorry.
Hey, Kalimdor, I know we just, did something new with talking to a corpse, but can you help me find Wodun's pants? Please. Between
the 5 full spellcasters, you managed to locate Wodun's pants and get them back onto him.
Thanks, guys.
That required our most potent divinations.
Don't thank me.
All of your 4th level spells gone. And so you then pack up camp?
Yes.
Yep, especially with that new tent.
With the new tent. What about the ice sculpture?
I don't want to carry this one after what happened to me last time.
Oh.
I'll carry it.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, or you, or Carnelian.
Carnelian.
Well, I could carry it if you wish, but if Carnelian wants to, I won't stop him. It's a very interesting item.
It is.
Perhaps some more study would be appropriate. I can help you out if you want.
Yes, of course.
Good. Well, that's settled then. Let's get moving, shall we? And so you all pack up the 2 sleds, salt and pepper, get on one with Valine. I know it's not salt and pepper. And the rest of you get onto the other sled with Dogcliff and Otto. And you ride out. You got a couple days to get to where you're supposed to be, so the travel across this part of Icewind Dale is pretty boring. You don't encounter any particular bad weather events. It's clear as far as you can see, like in this sort of dim light that allows you to see, and it's relatively flat. Only a couple of hills, rolling hills every now and then. And on the second day, you spy the sea of moving ice in the distance, sort of the shoreline, these giant icebergs that you can see off the coast. You approach what you see in the distance. It looks like some kind of wooden structure. And as you pull up to it, to find out what's inside, you'll have to come back next week on Reflex Save. You should be getting that too.
We got our morning glory again.
I got it.
What's the story?
Yes. Well, you still haven't put any pants on, I'm fully aware.
I was going to say, I never put these pants back on.
Well, then put your pants on.
I was like, what's this? A butt naked? Get your sword out.
Holding it like across my genitals. Look at this, guys. It's crystal clear.
It's kind of blurred out by the ash, so it's
Yeah,
okay.
it's just like, it's a little bit cold, is it? Wodun?